Welcome to Politico's Security Summit. Please welcome Politico Media Group's CEO, Goli Sheikholeslami.
Good morning, everyone. Let me lower this a little. I'm so delighted to be with you this morning at Politico's 2025 Security Summit, and thank you so much for joining us today. There is no doubt that this year's summit is taking place at a moment of seismic change. The recent wave of US and European elections has brought new leaders to power, and with them, new defense and security priorities. These leaders are also confronting new threats, from the front lines of Russia's continued war in Ukraine to the battle with China for influence in the Indo-Pacific. I feel very fortunate because Politico is in the best position to not only tell this story of great disruption, but to continuously advance it. In short, our journalism provides leaders and decision makers, like all of you here today, with actionable intelligence focused not on what happened, but what's coming and why it matters. In recent weeks, our reporters covering the White House and Pentagon have gotten scoop after scoop on leadership and budget changes that will fundamentally reshape the national security apparatus. And for our Politico Pro subscribers, our teams covering defense and cybersecurity are delivering headlines that are indispensable for anyone trying to create or shape policy in this uncertain climate. As you will see today, we've also been driving these stories forward on stage through the impact of our live journalism. Politico Live events, such as today's summit, represent the physical manifestation of our mission, convening the most influential stakeholders for urgent, news-driven conversations that add depth and context to the discussions that genuinely matter. In February, we created the Politico Pub in the secure zone of the Munich Security Conference, hosting decision makers from both sides of the Atlantic for on-stage interviews about the future of NATO and transatlantic efforts to end the war in Ukraine. And just last week, we continued our MSC partnership throughout the Munich Leaders meeting here in Washington. And I know some of you participate in our Securing Europe event, where we were joined by House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, NATO Policy Planning Director Benedetta Berti, and many others. Over the next several hours, you will hear from Sebastian Gorka on the Trump administration's counterterrorism strategy, and Space Force General B. Chance Salzman on the security in the final frontier, as well as the outlook from Capitol Hill on defense spending, intelligence, and emerging technology from nearly a dozen congressional leaders. And while we dive into the biggest issues affecting our world, we'll also spend some time looking at the stars. America is sitting at the dawn of a new space age, a transformative moment as politicians, militaries, and companies strive to harness the new space economy, race each other to the moon and Mars, and establish security dominance in orbit. To meet this moment, we're bringing back Politico Space, a weekly astropolitics newsletter that will decode the people, policy fights, and political battles in the US, Europe, and beyond, way beyond. And you'll hear more about that a bit later. And before we start the program, I'd like to thank RTX and McKinsey for their partnership today. And now, please help me welcome Politico defense reporter Joe Gould in conversation with Nebraska Senator and member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Deb Fischer.